Hey there, hey, it is Michelle with Brilliant Quest, and I want to ask you, what is the shape of your mind? That's a question that has been driving me for the last 15 years. And it is because back 15 years ago, I went through some things breakup, financial upheaval, you name it. It was crazy. And I finally got to the point where I was like, what does my mind look like? And that is why I have a nigh obsession with Brilliant Quest and how to go to higher abilities and to even the point of spiritual awakenings through our minds. And so I found at the time that the shape of my mind was so malleable, it couldn't win a fight with Jello. And how did I find that out? I found that out by being honest and taking a look at how I responded to things. Two, two big factors at that time that were having a high impact on the shape of my mind were rejection. How I didn't handle rejection well, and people pleasing. I wanted people to like me, and to the detriment of who I really was. And I would go on and wait. This is the thing. I was a therapist, and they do have a saying about the people who need it the most become therapists and counselors. And I was like, if you can't say amen, say ouch. But in hindsight, that was the pivotal moment that my life took a change for the best that it ever could. And if I had known that to be able to get to where I wanted to be, that it would cause me to have to face myself in a totally unfiltered light, to see all of my shadows and all of my shortcomings and have to just sit with them, I'd have been like, nah, I'm good. Just keep me in ignorant bliss. But I'm able to talk with you in all seriousness, humility, and forthrightness that understanding the shape of your mind is going to be one of the most powerful tools that you have to live a better lifestyle. So I'm going to cut to some of the chase. One of the biggest takeaways I learned was that I was only able to see and understand the shape of my mind at that time and on and on and on so that I could continue to grow, was to separate from my mind and understand that I am truly not my mind. I'm truly not my body, not my spirit, not my thoughts. I am above that. And I have sovereignty over that. And as Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one has the ability to make you feel any way. You choose it. And it really became something big at that time. And this is me, having my big sis talk with you because I love you. I see you. I see y'all following me, and I'm so grateful. Anyway, when I was in meditation, this was one of the things that came to me. Share this story and encourage you. Why do you need to know the shape of your mind? It's a good question that you should be asking yourself, because we take for granted all the inputs and all of the hits to our ego and our psyche, our mind. And we do more after a gym workout than we do for the main thing that connects us to above and below, our mind. And when you start to suss out what is the shape of my mind, it causes you to really get back into proper alignment. Now, if you've read, Lord, I'm thinking about my books, but if you have watched some of my videos or all of my videos, first of all, thank you. You're going to start to naturally put yourself back in proper order. And I've talked about that in these videos where I've talked about proper alignment comes down to be, do, have, 3, 6, 9. Be, 3, it is the creative force. It is energy. Do, 6, it is the vibration, the movement. Have, frequency. It is getting to places so that you can incorporate with these places. Like when you're on the right frequency, you can see stuff that other people can't see. If you understand frequency, you could look at a door, understand its frequency, get above it, and walk right through it. And so I say that because when you start looking at the shape of your mind, it causes you to first get back into the being. And it is funny that every time I meditate on human being, I get new revelations. I used to think in my high-minded self that a human being was a human being, not a human doing. I'd spout that out. Now, by being cognizant of checking in on what is the shape of my mind, I understand that I am a being having a human existence. And that's different. And I don't even know where I'm going to go from that, but I know I'm going to continue to get more and more revelation. And so when you look at what is the shape of your mind, you are a being having a human existence. And that means that it pulls you out of this flesh sack that is our human avatar, that is the necessary requirement for us to legally be in this realm on this planet. So when you're looking at what is the shape of my mind, be a being first. That is why proper alignment is be, do, have. 3, 6, 9. Energy, vibration, frequency. And it is because one of the first laws you learn about energy is what? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It is constantly moving into and out of form. That's a being. Okay? A human can't do that. A being can. And once you get that, once you get it, then you can start to pull away and look at your mind more objectively. When you're looking at your mind objectively, it means that you are fortifying yourself to be able to deal with the good and the bad. It is funny, when you start looking at the shape of your mind, you'll start seeing your ego running amok. Now, y'all know I like that word, amok, amok, amok. And yes, I know that it means destruction, but anyway, you start to see the stuff that is really good at tricking our humanness, our humanity. It is really good at hiding in those shadows that we can't see, but a lot of other people can. You start understanding your tendencies, your shortcomings, your irrational behaviors. As a therapist, I had to learn the difference between fears and phobias. And I was blessed to be able to use this knowledge when I was first starting to try to repair my mind after this horrific breakup and financial distress and reputation, management, and all this other stuff that I was trying to deal with. And I remembered, is this a fear or is this a phobia? And the reason why I'm giving you this insight, I'm kind of like giving you a crash course into ego rebuilding and dealing with the self and building your ability to become self-aware. So just bear with me, because trust me, if you try to do this in one-on-one, you pay a lot of money. But I'm gonna try to do it in a few minutes. So with fears and phobias, fears are, as we classify it in the therapy world, they are a result of something that really happened to you. Phobias are fears that didn't happen to you, and thus there is an irrational connection. So you can have two people scared of spiders. One person can have a fear and one person can have a phobia. The person who has a fear had a spider bite them, or a spider did something to them. A fear that's irrational, which is a phobia, this person might not understand, but as long as they've been around, they don't like spiders. Oh, don't come near me. And it could be, if you're willing to think that, it could be a past life kind of situation. Or they could have watched a horror movie when they were highly impressionable, maybe when they were a kid, and now they have an irrational fear of spiders, And using that, you can start to suss out some of the areas that your mind needs to be strengthened. And a lot of times, and I wish I could tell you that everyone is going to be able to see their mind. You're a lot of times going to suspect things in your mind, like a subtle feeling about, that's not right, or that needs to grow, or that needs to be repaired. So don't think that you have to see your mind, because your mind is not your brain, by the way. So if you immediately started thinking about a picture of a brain, your mind is above your brain, controlling your brain and everything else. So you want to embrace the subtle directions of what your being is showing you about this mind that we operate in. This mind is the connection to source. This mind is the connection to body. It is the tether between the up and the below, the heavens and the earth, the Father Heaven, Mother Earth, those different things. And you don't have to worry about the gender of it being a Father Heaven or whatever. It can be whatever. Okay, it can be Goddess, divine energy. It can be whatever. What I do want to say, because this is important, and the reason why I believe that in my meditative time, it was impressed on me to share this with you, is because there are too many people who don't realize that their minds look like, if you could see it, it would look like just a bullet hole written mess, where it's in tatters. It doesn't have proper connections. The way we continue to grow and move and operate in this world has been so damaged that people get stuck. They can't move forward. They keep getting into loops and languishing. They have apathy. They are numb. They vacillate between being depressed and anxious just incessantly all day long. And it is because we are the maintainers of our own minds. We are the ones who must become proficient at always shaping up our mind. Like I said, we do more going to the gym and recuperating after than we do with the most vital part of what allows us to even be here. Do you realize that if the shape of your mind is not at its optimal, that you succumb to the external influences of others? Remember, I told you I was decimated over rejection, over somebody lying about me and people believing it, my reputation, over a breakup, over financial calamities. And I started allowing that to define who I was. And it was because I didn't understand the shape of my mind as the being, the supremely derived being from source. I am not God, but I am part of God, if you will. And so looking and understanding, was it a fear or a phobia? And I'm serious, I went through different things, and I understood that rejection ended up being a freaking phobia. No one who had quote unquote rejected me was ever able to snatch one breath from me, to grow one blade of grass out there, or to change my ability to succeed or to fail. I was giving that power. I was outsourcing that power to the ghost of them rejecting me. And this is a case in point. I've been thinking about, doing, talking a little bit about interpersonal and relationship kind of stuff, from my time as a therapist. And one of the things I do want to say right now about rejection, being ghosted, and all this stuff, be careful, because it is one of the biggest disruptors and demolishers of your mind, because it is insidious that it gets in and it starts to cultivate narratives that you turn into stories and then belief systems. Do not let someone's ignoring you, because that's a tactic. Let's be honest. It's either a tactic or a pronouncement, and that's okay. But if it's a tactic to manipulate you, to get you to act a certain way so that they will deal with you, let it go. If they reject you, they ghost you, it could be a pronouncement that they have decided, we ain't the two, boo. Let it go. And once you let it go, you get in there. What was the fear that you were fearing? The worst happened. They're gone. And shout out to those people who have the audacity to try to use these tactics and then come back, see if you're still connected to them. No, shut that down, because the shape and the health of your mind is way more than the rejection that you feel. And I wish I could tell you that it feels great and that you can just bounce back. No, that's a muscle. So much so that there's a book you need to read it. And this guy, he did a wonderful job on it. It came out of a blog, and the book is called Rejection Proof. And he talks about going out for a full year, purposefully doing things to get rejected. And the more he did it, he would ask farcical, far out requests of strangers. I mean, one of the examples in the book was he asked if he could go in this lady's backyard and with his hockey equipment and play hockey on her grass and take pictures. And she said, yes. She knows, man. He just showed up with his hockey gear. I mean, this is how, and this is not even the biggest of what he did. He even got Krispy Kreme to do something for him based on this year of, he called it rejection proofing himself. So check that one out, because that's one of the biggest areas that the shape of your mind will get you. The next one is, once you have decided whether it's a real fear, remember I told you fear, something happened to you, or it's a phobia. If it's a fear, then you need to fix that. And the way you start fixing that is you start prioritizing what's important. What is the biggest bang for your buck that keeps you moving in a forward or higher or whatever is the positive? What keeps you growing and being the better and best part of yourself? And if holding on to that fear does it, I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10 it doesn't. Okay. But if not, start exercising how the feeling of being fearless in that area helps you. If it's a phobia, let it go. Just let it go. Maybe be responsible to somebody you trust and let them know, hey, I'm dealing with this phobia that I'm trying to get over. It's irrational, and I know I got to exercise it out, but I want you to hold me accountable if you see me behaving in ways that suggest I'm succumbing to this irrational phobia. Okay. The next one is, and I made some notes, so y'all bear with me while I look at my notes. Oh, and this is the next one. At the time, I was really looking at quotes, from famous people from long ago. That's why I was meditating on the quote from Eleanor Roosevelt about you having the power. Don't let anybody make you feel any way. They don't make you feel any way. You choose to feel that way. And this is the next one. And it was that you can assess your mentality based on whether it's poor or rich. And that is by how long does it take you to take action? So if you're saying, Michelle, it just hurts so much. Oh, she left me and nothing's been the same. I can't seem to get myself back. First of all, check out my video on Find Your Sweet Spot. It's going to help you. Or another one I did just recently is why is purpose so painful? I'll give you that. But for right now, and I'm just using this as an example. You must look and decide out of the being part of you, looking in or looking at your mind. Is my mind poor? Is it taking me a long time to do something? If you are honest with yourself, there's a high probability that you're having a poor mentality that is succumbing to fears and phobias. Okay. Another thing is, if it is taking you a long time to take action on what you know you should do, oh my gosh, look, if you can't find fears and phobias, look for confusion or anxiety about the options. There are times when I'm dealing with, when I need to help someone to move forward, I'll give them a little exercise. And I'm not going to tell you what the exercise is, just in case I ever, talk with you. I don't want you knowing the answers. But there's a little exercise. I just get them to stand up real quick. I can do it on Zoom. And I ask them 2 questions, and they follow the directions of what I ask them to do. They do it. And it helps me right there to figure out if we're dealing with a confusion situation or if we're dealing with an anxiety situation. And those can put bullet holes all into your mind as well. If you are confused, a lot of times it can be some form, and I'm not a doctor, but it can be some form of a depressive state. You see, a lot of times people think that depression is just being really sad. Sometimes depression can be because of suppressed anger. Anger. Yeah. A lot of people don't even realize they have a lot of anger. And I remember back in the 80s when my mom was a sociologist and stuff, she would, read these books and watch this stuff. And she would bring home the stuff that she would get from her continuing ed classes. And at the time, they had these things you could just beat. These little fall. And y'all, why do I have some of that stuff in my garage from my office where you just beat stuff to get all that anger up and out? Because the way to get past anger and fear is to, quote unquote, express it out, meaning you have to move it out. So, beating and beating and beating. And you know what? We use those bats to walk so that we can fly today. And what I want to say is when you are dealing with a poor mentality, when you are dealing with whether it is a depressive state, understand that action is the answer. So depressed. That is why studies have shown that a 20-minute brisk walk has the same effect as Prozac, because that energy must be moved out of the body, expressed out of the body through movement. And a depressed state means that you're so focused in the past that you can't see even today or the future. That's where the apathy and the languishing can come in. Now, those are not at this time, they're not at the levels a lot of times of depression. And I'm not talking about the clinical depression. I'm talking about that periodic socially, that depression that people go through. And so depression, yes, it can be from repressed anger that you don't even know you have over something that didn't go right, over you not being where you thought you were going to be. And you don't even realize that you've been pushing it down like a beach ball underwater to the point where it just pops up and you can't control it. And thus your body is so overwhelmed that it has to shut down. It's in protective mode. It's in the blue screen PC, mode of death, I should say, or not your death, but you understand what I'm saying. And so that's one of the situations. So confusion, sadness, depression, that's because you can't see a future or a way forward. You are confused. You don't think you have any options. That's another one of those bullet hole bombs, if you will, that messes with the shape of your mind. The other one is anxiety. That's where you can't stay in your now because you're so concerned with what you don't have now to take care of tomorrow. You are living always in the future. The way I used to explain it was dread. If you have dread of doing something, of going to work or whatever, a lot of times that's anxiety because of the fear of the future, the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, the fear of not knowing before you take the step. So many people, including me, we want to know what's going to happen before we're willing to take the step. And because our minds are racing to try to give us an answer and never finding it, we start looping, we start getting anxiety and panic attacks and all that. Now remember, and I said 15, y'all, that was, oh my God, that was 18 years ago. 18 years ago when I was at this point in my life, I was vacillating between depression and anxiety because rejection and, reputation and all the stuff that happened to me was in the past. And then anxiety about, oh my gosh, I'm bankrupt. What am I doing? How am I going to move forward? What's my life going to be? Who's going to want to hire me or whatever the questions were? That was anxiety. And I could not just even focus for in the now. So one of the things, and I'm going to wrap this up because I want to make sure that I'm giving you something that you can replicate and that's not too hard. One of the things that I first started doing was I started doing periodic check-ins throughout the day. Number one, that kept me in the present. Number two, that stopped those programs that had been subliminal that were continuing to fester and form these sick narratives and stories about my past and my future. And then it also made me start to appreciate that I was rebuilding my mind. All right. So the way I would do this when I first started, because I was that sick, y'all, I would set a timer for every 30 minutes and I would pause and do a 1 minute check-in. And that 1 minute check-in looked like this. I would pause and I would take in 6 breaths in, 6 breaths out, so 6 breaths in and out. And I would do it 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out, right? And so by doing that, that gave me a minute. And once I got done with that minute of conscious breathing in and breathing out 6 times, 5 counts in, 5 counts out, that is pranayamic breathing, and it helps to reset you back into your body, and it stops this from running, too fast, and it also stops your gut from shutting down. So this is called sympathetic shock. This is called parasympathetic shock. But I mean, you don't need to know that. You just need to know that the breathing gets you back right. Once you do that breathing, then you can have a better assessment of how you're really feeling. There would be some days where I would say, "How's my heart doing?" My heart would be beating a little too fast, or I couldn't tell that I was beating enough. And when I say that, I mean I could feel the depressive energy in my trying to be around my heart area. I would also ask myself, are you hot? Are you cold? Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? I went back to the basic needs to survive. And by just focusing on that, it took me less than 2 minutes to do all of that. I would go back to what I was doing. It started making me unconsciously check in with myself. Am I here? I have shelter. I have electricity. I have food, water, all those different things. And I'm going to tell you, when you start getting back to where you can focus on the now, your brain will work with your mind and the shape of your mind will become a beautiful thing. Not like the beautiful mind of the guy that had the issues, but a beautiful mind nonetheless. And so I'm going to recap this and I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. First and foremost, the shape of your mind. The shape of your mind should be all about integrating with you as a being so that you can have the best human experience you can possibly have. The shape of your mind does not look like other people's minds. And the shape, 9 times out of 10, it's more about the subtle energies of what's going on with your mind that keeps you in an ever regenerative, healthful state. Okay. So the first thing is, when you're looking at the shape of your mind, understand that you are a being having a human experience. Okay. That means that you need to get in proper alignment so that you can be that being, so that you can do in this human realm with this human avatar, so that you can have what is required and what is desired in the same realm. Okay. The next thing, you must, please do this. Don't skip this part. Make an evaluation of your mind of what are the fears. Is it a real fear or is it a phobia? And based on if it's a real fear, what you're going to do is you're going to start dealing with it. Now, I could tell you about what it is. It's a defense mechanism, and defense mechanisms are established when you can't do any better, but you outgrow them and then they become a hindrance. But just deal with it. Practice getting past the fear. If it's a phobia, Recognize that it is a phobia. It is a fear, not that is not a fact. And exercise that out. Give it up. Get an accountability partner. Okay. So then there. The next thing is we're going to look and see if you are in confusion or anxiousness. Confusion, depression, living in the past. One of the biggest ones, like I said before, I had it, rejection. Another one that I didn't mention, I should have because it's in my notes, is regret. If you have a lot of regret, that will tear your mind up so much, and you must get past it. You must. If you got to, now I can tell you that this is real. If you think something got away from you and you'll never have that chance again, you won't. But if you allow yourself to understand that everything is a cycle and what goes around comes around, you will get another chance. It might not look exactly like you want it, but it'll be better. Get rid of that regret. That's a big one, and it lives in that depressive state. If you're feeling anxious and you have all of these different options, and the options might not be things to do, they might be just different forms of fear of the future. They could be fear of the unknown, fear of failure. They could be fear of self-sabotage. They could be fear that you don't understand how to move forward before you move forward. All of these different options you got, that is in the anxious anxiety. One of the biggest ways to deal with anxiety, if it's not clinical, all this kind of stuff, go to your doctor. I'm not practicing medicine here. I'm just saying to breathe. You can use my 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out for 6 times. That gets you about 60 seconds. And then after you do that, do a check-in. If you are as bad as I was, set a timer on your phone so that you can take these breaks, do this breath, and then do a check-in. And just start with the basics. Do I have any pain anywhere? Can I breathe? What's my heart doing? Am I hot and cold? Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Those basics. And that will start putting you back into the right now where you can deal with what's going on. And you will start to repair or even strengthen the power of your mind and the shape of it. So guess what? Yeah, my time is up. I thank you for yours. This is Michelle, your big sis with Brilliant Quest. I will see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a wonderful, great day. So what's the shape of your mind? Talk to you soon. Bye.